Show and Tell Signature.
Welcome to Show and Tell Signature. This is just some of my favorite people talking about some of their favorite decks. Super excited tonight to be joined by my friend Brian, the Unskilled Commander, to talk about his Kemba Kha Regent Cat Cleric deck. Brian, thanks for joining me this evening.
Absolutely. I was really happy that you asked. This should be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Very cool. So we'll just jump right into it. Your commander, Kemba Kha Regent. As I was saying kind of before, I had been familiar with the card kind of, but never really took a hard look at it. It's 1 and 2 white for a 2/4 legendary cat cleric, legendary creature cat cleric. There's some alliteration there. Let's see. At the beginning of your upkeep, create a 2/2 white cat creature token for each equipment attached to Kemba Kha Regent, which is pretty sweet. Looks like there's probably a token theme that can go along with. I'm guessing this is going to be kind of a commander, a Voltron-y deck.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Moxfield has this listed as a bracket 3, which is upgraded. Just one game changer, Teferi's Protection. So not too crazy in terms of the game changers list. Mono white I don't think has. I think was Chrome as well a game changer and they took it off, or were they thinking? Did I imagine that? I haven't really followed.
I don't. Yeah, I want to say like they don't have a lot of white in that list. So
No.
to begin with, like I don't think there was a lot of game changers in white other than Teferi's Protection. So
that sounds about right. So great white card. Definitely a white commander staple. I think especially for a Voltron list, which we're kind of looking at. So we'll just jump right into it. So what is just the general game plan of this deck?
it is to equip her with the best equipment so I can get out on the field and swing for commander damage. It's based on because of what you said, like on the card at the beginning of your upkeep, you make a 2/2 white cat creature token. I didn't lean into all of the white token doublers that you could go for and make it a token deck specifically.
Yeah.
I like the idea of equipping her and making her the problem, like letting her do all the damage and take out people with commander damage, but her effect is the bonus because it makes your defenses for you. So a lot of the problems you'll find with a commander damage deck is that you're focused on the commander, whether it's equipment or enchantments or whatever, to make it do all the damage and get through. You don't have a lot of creatures on the field. So you're like, oh, I swing, and maybe the opponent blocks her, and maybe they take a little damage, but now you're wide open and you get, you don't get your creatures fast enough. Well, as long as she's equipped, she's making your defensive wall. And then you can also throw out creatures that will help get her going faster. But so it's like a synergy within, but it's not about the tokens. It's really just about her making her super big, super unblockable, and getting through for 21 damage.
Yeah, I think the nice part about her is that those tokens you could imagine having not only like blockers to kind of keep back, but worst case scenario you have bodies to put equipment on if your commander gets removed. I think that tends to be one of the biggest problems with Voltron type commanders is your commander goes away and then you have nothing kind of going on the field. So. What inspired you to building this deck?
So Kemba is my oldest deck, and she's my favorite. And it was one of those things where I think it was still relatively early in me playing Commander. She wasn't like one of my first decks, but she's like I said, a lot of those have gotten taken apart, but she's the one that's remained. And it was because first of all, I just like cats. I mean, I'm a cat person. Love dogs too. I'm not about the whole one's better than the other. I just like cats more. And because I didn't have a mono white deck, and I think maybe at the time I had heard how hard it was to make white and those kind of things. Like, it's not like I'm going to rise to the challenge, but at the same time I was kind of like, well, let me see. Like, why is it so hard to make mono white? And so I wanted to try something, and I found her. I don't know if I actually opened her in some sort of pack or if I was just going through some general bulk and I found it. But I was like, oh, the art's cool. I love cats. And she has this really weird, cool ability. So I just started building, and the original rules for the deck was that every creature had to be a cat.
Oh, okay.
So all of the creatures were only cats, and that was all I was allowing into the deck. As you can see it when you looked over the list, I have taken that restriction off because I loved Kemba so much and because it was so fun, but yet it wasn't performing as well. Because the cats were cool, but none of them, and they synergized with each other, but they didn't really lend themselves to compensate for a mono white deck. There wasn't a ton of card draw, there wasn't a ton of ramp.
Yeah.
And everyone kept suggesting all the cards you hear about, like, oh, put Esper Sentinel in there, put this in there, and I'm like, yeah, but that's not a cat, So finally, after a while, it's like I relented, and I'm like, well, she doesn't win, she doesn't do very well. I want her to win, otherwise I should just take her apart. So I finally mixed in better creatures to balance her out.
Yeah, sometimes there's always a balance, I think, when you're trying unique strategies in terms of like cat equipment or cat Voltron. It's like a tipping point where you're like, yeah, it's fun and flavorful, but you want to win sometimes, or you want it to run a little smooth. So it's always that push and pull. Like obviously some strategies might be a little easier to kind of deal with than others, just given the nature of what the cards are doing. But when you're kind of taking really almost two circles of what you can build and trying to smash them together, I do think sometimes you have to make sacrifices to make it run a little smoother. So
Right.
So that's just the kind of fun of deck building, right? If you're not going to be willing to kind of modify what you're doing, then sometimes you're just going to get stuck and not have a deck that functions,
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to kind of go through some cool stuff I saw. First place I really like to start is land count. 36 lands, very responsible land mana base. I have seen most of the most recent decks people I've talked to have been a good 36 number. Had a few that were a little lower, but I think this deck especially has a little bit of a curve. I mean, equipment's weird because a lot of times it's like you got to cast it and equip it. Obviously, there's stuff like Sigarda's Aid, which can kind of help you get around some equipment. It's really, that's kind of the funny thing about equipment a lot of time is it's finding the cards that let you bypass the equipment ability or cost. That really make the decks kind of purr. No pun intended, because it's a cat deck. You want to make it purr.
Hey. Yeah.
But other than that, some just kind of neat stuff. Bilbo's Ring I thought was a kind of a cool ad. It's a 3-mana legendary artifact equipment. As long as your turn equipped creature has hexproof and can't be blocked, whenever equipped creature attacks alone, you draw a card and lose 1 life. Equip halfling 1, equip 4. I did notice there is a big sub-theme of equipment that makes your commander unblockable, which for a Voltron commander damage deck is actually really smart. I'm actually
it took me a while to get to that point.
It feels so obvious. I have a Bruenor Battlehammer equipment deck, and I always think the best land in the deck is the passage. What is it? I think you have it here, Rogue's Passage. But I'm
Rogue's Passage, yeah.
But that's really like a 5-mana, make your thing unblockable. But I'm like, man, all these equipments that do it, like, man, I got to look into these. This is actually a better way to go because it's a little more value out of it. So, but yeah, Bilbo's Ring, kind of a cool, the other, oddly enough, the one ring, really, but just like the not super expensive, not real crazy version. But again, hexproof and unblockable is pretty sweet. Plus, you get some card draw, which is always nice in a mono white deck. Let's see, what else did I think was super cool? I don't know if this was on purpose or I just kind of noticed there's a lot of Universe Beyond type cards in this deck. Was that on purpose, or did it just kind of happen to work out that way? I don't know if that was like an intentional kind of design sort of thing.
Yeah, so it was Kemba was before Universes Beyond. Yeah. So it wasn't an intentional thing. It just has kind of morphed and into that. And the main reason really is if it's not filling a gap like Bilbo's Ring and then Brotherhood Regalia from Assassin's Creed, they both give unblockable.
Yeah.
So those are just, hey, I need this. That's the cards they're going in. But also because it's a favorite deck, I'm trying to slowly bling her out. I think I'm like 7 or 8 cards shy of having her all either foiled or full art foil of something. So I'm trying to get the prettiest card versions of everything. And a lot of those, the Trailblazer's Boots, which is one of my all-time favorite cards, period, gives unblockable if your opponent has a non-basic land.
Yeah.
It's basically non-basic land walk. So the only real pretty version of that is from Lord of the Rings. It's the Lauren Brooch version. So
Yep.
that's in there. So that's why like there's a lot of Universes Beyond type stuff in. There's also from Final Fantasy. You were probably looking at the A tier and Priwen, which gives the base power and toughness XX, where it's your life total. So
Yes.
if I can get that on anytime, above death, it's going to make her much bigger than she is.
Yeah.
And that's from Final Fantasy. So yeah, it's just like it's either really good utility out of them, and they just happen to be from a Universes Beyond set, or the full art foil is the prettiest, and it's from a Universes Beyond set.
Yeah, it's funny. Now that you mentioned it, I did notice a bunch of foils, but yeah, it is almost fully foiled out, which is pretty crazy. Very impressive. And actually, it's funny. Some of the cards you mentioned were ones that we're going to bring up too. So Brotherhood Regalia. It's funny. The Assassin's Creed set is one of those sets where I keep seeing decks with. You find some pretty cool cards from the Assassin's Creed set. I think, like as a set, the cards in it were pretty cool. It was just the way it was distributed that I think rubbed people fairly the wrong way. The weird small packs and
Well, it was and I mean it was almost the same situation as Spider-Man. Those are like the two most hated Universes Beyond sets, and they're both kind of built the same way because they were supposed to both be small sets.
yeah,
And then got screwed up for one reason or another. So
yeah,
people overlook them a lot, like especially like you're saying, people definitely overlooked the Assassin's Creed set, especially for equipments and stuff. There's a lot of really good and commanders too.
yeah. But the Regalia 2-mana artifact. Equipped creature has Ward 2, is an assassin in addition to other types, and can't be blocked, so unblockable, very nice. Equip legendary creature just 1. Very good equip cost. Ward 2, in a lot of ways, is almost just as good as Hexproof. It's wild how much more painful paying Ward 2 for something is than paying Ward 1. So that'll go a long way. You mentioned it. I saw it, and I was going to say it, but then the name scared me, but we'll say anyway, is the Atir and Priwen from the Final Fantasy set. The base toughness becomes your life total. That I had seen also coupled with Celestial Mantle, 3 and 3 white for an enchantment, or enchanted creature gets +3/+3, and then whenever enchanted creature deals combat damage to a player, double its controller's life total. So like, there's a world where you're getting this thing just ginormous, like quickly.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fun. What else did I see that I was really? Another kind of newer one that I really love is Super State from the Sonic Secret Lair. Super State, and it kind of it's funny because the Super State Sonic kind of looks like Kemba, like in a lot of ways, like with the golden hair, like the way it kind of spikes out. But Super State is another one of those cards. 7 mana, enchantment, legendary enchantment aura. Enchanted creature has base power and toughness 9/9, has flying, first strike, trample, and haste. Trample, very important, I feel like, in a deck like this. And then whenever enchanted creature deals combat damage to opponent, it does that much damage to each other opponent. So you might not necessarily... It may not be a commander damage kill, but some might just kill someone with how big you can get this commander, relatively easy with what's going on here. Just kind of, and like, I don't know, Super State feels like one of those cards, if you can land, like, you're going to feel really good about yourself. I have a super, my cat has gone Super Saiyan, and you are all screwed.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. You're really pissed off Kemba now. So.
Just some other cool cards. Let's see. Endless Atlas. It's just, I was kind of looking at it and like, oh, that's kind of just a cool card draw engine. White, I think we mentioned, not the best at card draw. It's getting better these days. I feel like they're definitely giving some love to White for a card draw. But 2 mana, 2 and tap, draw a card, activate only if you control 3 or more lands with the same name. This deck has 26 planes, so feels like that's probably gonna be fairly easy. I feel like 2 mana, just draw a card is not terrible. Like, just repeatable card draw in any way you can kind of get it that's not super overcosted feels pretty good.
You can basically just tap a Soul Ring and draw a card, essentially.
Yeah, that's can't go wrong with that. What else did I see that I really liked? The Thrawn Power Suit. This is kind of a cool one. Just 2 mana, equip 2. Equip creature gets +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to it, and has Ward 2. So again, Ward 2, that's going to be such a detriment to people wanting to throw their I was gonna say terror. I'm aging myself because my mind from the 2-mana destruction, my mind goes to terror. These days it's more like bitter triumph or the whatever the one that just costs 2 and you lose 2 life.
Oh yeah, is it Feed the Serpent or something? Isn't that one?
I don't know.
Isn't it like a 2-drop?
It's like 1 in a black and it costs 2 and you lose 2 life.
Yeah.
Destroy. Whatever. It's not terror. No one plays terror anymore. Yeah. Beloved terror.
It's not terror.
But again, the ward and the +1/+1 for each art and equipment, that's kind of one of those things that's going to scale. I feel like when you can kind of get these the equipments that can kind of scale with what you're doing is always kind of a nice addition too. And then Idolized was a card I had not seen. I guess I'm not really super familiar with the Fallout stuff. But this was kind of a cool enchantment. It's just 1 and a white enchant creature. Enchanted creature has whenever this creature attacks alone, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of non-land permanents you control. So, that coupled with the catch you're getting at the beginning of your upkeep, it's gonna get pretty big pretty fast. So, just some cool stuff going on there. Another card I really liked that I did know about from the Fallout, because it's kind of like the really maybe one of the most iconic things from Fallout, is the Pip-Boy 3000.
Right.
I had known this card was popular, and it's kind of one of those ones I kind of glanced over at one point, but just a 1-mana artifact equipment, 2 to equip. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you can draw and discard, put a +1/+1 counter, or untap up to 2 target lands. Like, that is some great utility on just an artifact. Kind of reminds me of almost a equipable what was the sonic screwdriver from the Doctor Who set. Was maybe not exactly similar in function, but like just the modality and the usefulness. I think this is actually you have to equip this to a creature to do stuff, but I think the stuff you can do is a lot better. I mean, just honestly, just the draw and discard alone, I think might be worth the price of admission for a
mono white deck.
Yeah, like really, that's the kind of thing with like decks like this. You really have to lean on, I think, your artifacts, equipment, artifacts in general to kind of like help balance out the lack of card draw. But again, it's kind of nice because if you're good with your cards, like just a +1/+1 counter coupled with some other the bonuses you can kind of get, can make a big difference on hitting that 21 commander damage versus hitting that 20 or whatever.
Exactly.
And you had mentioned the Lorien Brooch earlier. I love the art on that card just in general. There's a gorgeous looking card. But really, so 2 mana for a equipment, equipped creature has non-basic land walk. I mean, if you're playing Commander, that's basically unblockable, right? I can't.
Exactly, yeah.
When have you ever played a game of Commander where no one, an opponent didn't have a non-basic land? I can't even fathom that being a possibility, I know. And like people will be like, oh, but you go up against like, monocolor decks. And you're right, but this is a monocolor deck, and like taking out the lands that I don't really need, like Evolving Wilds and stuff, you're still going to put in a Rogue's Passage. You're still going to put in a Reliquary Tower. You're still going to put in a monocolored land that also does something else, like one of the ones that's like, oh, it's just taps for white, but tap it, pay 3 and tap it to draw a card or whatever. Like there's every color has those kind of things. So you toss them in for extra utility and like, oh, now I can get through. Yeah. War Room you're talking about, the 3 tap, pay life equal, draw a card. Minas Tirith from, I think the Lord of the Rings set in general had a lot of good monocolored legendary lands that just kind of helped.
Really did, yeah.
Even all the 5 channel lands from Kamigawa, not Champions Kamigawa, Neon Dynasty. I mean, those essentially are just untapped not basic lands, but like, untapped swamp, untapped plains, but have the bonus channel ability. Like there's a lot of scenarios where like, someone might just put that out because they need to hit their land drop. So I feel like they don't really do land walk stuff anymore, but it's a very, I think, underappreciated kind of keyword to kind of get some extra benefit out especially some older cards. So super cool choices.
I've loved Trailblazer Boots for so long because it's just And nobody like I've seen a little bit of a spike in it every once in a while, but like no one plays it. Even in equipment decks, even in commander decks, and it's like, why not?
Yeah.
It's so cheap in terms of like it's a cheap card and it's cheap to get out and equip, and it just gets you through. What's the difference?
Yeah, even I think this special, the Lorien Brooch version, this if Mox was to believe, $280, under $3, like that's not too bad for a kind of fancy art, pretty version. I do have to ask because it's in here. Leyline Axe. I think it's just a cool card. It's a 4 mana equipment, 3 to equip. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. It has double strike and trample. Double strike, trample. I feel like trample is a very good keyword to have when you're trying to do Voltron stuff. But what's really cool because it's a leyline based axe, I guess, something like related to ley lines. If it's in your opening hand, you may begin with it on the battlefield. Have you ever played a game with this card where you had it in your opening hand?
I don't think so. Well, I know I have this, and I think it was either this deck or another deck that has another leyline equipment or something in it. I think I had one, and then realized on like turn 3 or 4 when I was getting ready to play it, I'm like, I could have played this at the beginning of the game. I didn't read all the text because I'm stupid.
That's funny.
So I may have missed the chance. Yeah.
Your turn 0 play. It's you got to be. That's funny. You got to be aware of that. But yeah, it's kind of one of those cards where 4 mana, 3 equip is not inexpensive, but I think the benefit of being able to start with it on the battlefield. Again, double strike and trample though. Those are the kind of keywords that win you games. You know what I mean? Like double strike is such a powerful ability, and trample I do a lot of times I think is an underappreciated keyword, especially when you're building big creatures because it feels bad. You think of a card like Jumbo Cactor, right? It can be a 10,000 whatever, but if you could just give 1/1 can block it, like okay, well, this is an anti-contact. But exactly. Trample is definitely one of those things. So.
And that's what would happen a lot of times in the beginning, especially like when it was just all cats and the equipments weren't as good back then that I had rather that like I didn't have the right equipments back then, so it was just like it wouldn't get through.
Yeah.
So I had to start shifting and being like, okay, not as many give trample, but let's do trample because I didn't want to put in the ones that just give trample or something, or just do this one thing because it's like, well, then I just felt like I'm wasting. But the unblockable is just you're getting through all of it, so that's worth it. But like trample, this one has like trample and double strike. This one has trample and haste or whatever. So it's like you're getting a additional. Because if she's only like a 6/8 or something, it's like, well, am I even swinging? Trample's not going to help that much. But.
Yeah, exactly. And just one other card I want to mention, which I think is actually a really good include in this deck, is the Flowering of the White Tree. Also, Lord of the Rings card, just 2 white, legendary enchantment. Legendary creatures you control get +2/+1 and have Ward 1. Ward 1. It's not Ward 2, but again, it's just Ward in general. It's funny how insignificant it seems like when you just kind of read it first, but like if you're playing against someone, it's like, man, an extra 1. I think that tax really gets you. Right. But that second line, the non-legendary creatures you control get +1/+1. I think just the synergies of having both your commander, which is kind of your primary strategy, but all the cats you're pumping out are also going to get kind of buffed. It's, with token decks, really, the power comes in incremental in buffing, right? So, 5/1/1s we'll use the cats because they're 2/2s, right? We'll say 3/2/2s. Okay, like that's cool or whatever, but it's not 2. But 3/3/3s, 4/3/3s. All of a sudden, it's like, wow, that's a lot. You get a lot of power very quickly, and your board state kind of gets out of control. And a good way for you, if it's your deck, your opponents will be like, what is going on over there? Yeah.
And when you're looking it over, if you notice too that there's only I think, including Flowering of the White Tree, there might only be 3 static buffs in the deck. 2 of them are creatures, but they affect all of my creatures because they affect cats. So it's like Kemba gets the buff and the tokens get the buff. So it's not like I'm just trying to buff Kemba with this stuff. It's taking care of the field.
Yeah.
So if I do have other creatures out, they're getting stronger as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one other thing I did notice that I thought was pretty interesting is this deck has no sorceries. Just your commander creatures, artifacts, enchantments, lands, and instants. I don't remember the last time I've seen especially a mono white deck. Now I guess it kind of makes sense because something like a board wipe is kind of detrimental, usually for the token player. You don't want to be playing board wipes because you're the one trying to go wide. But pretty interesting to see just no sorceries whatsoever. I don't know if that was the again, if you did it on purpose or just kind of worked. I mean, sometimes these things just kind of work out that way, but
it just worked into that as like I was moving, like, you know, making room for other cards and stuff. And it's like, well, this and that, you know, a lot of the instants are all reactionary, or, you know, to protect me. So it's just like, because myself as a player, I don't go heavy into, like, I'm still not good with counterspells. So I interact with other people's boards minimally. Like, yes, I totally have, like, you know, Paths of Exiles and stuff like that, and I know to have at least a couple, like, to have, like, 2 to 3 cards that target artifacts and enchantments, because those can be game changers, like, literally not just the actual game changers, but, you know, and a couple board wipes, maybe 1 or 2, and then some targeted creature removal. But I never really go past, like, maybe 10 cards total of all of those.
Yeah.
And so this deck, it was all about, like, I just want to build up a giant creature and swing and get through. I don't want to deal with everything else. Like, so if you're going to come at me, I will hopefully have an instant that stops it or protects me. But otherwise, you do what you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
I want to try and race you, basically.
That's smart. I mean, I feel like for like a Voltron type deck, that's the way to do it. Because if everyone's going to be aiming at your commander, you want to be able to protect the commander not on your turn. So, you know, sorceries are really obviously limited in that they can't typically be cast on your opponent's turn. So, really just relying on the instants to kind of help yourself is probably a pretty smart way to go. So, all right. Well, you know what? Let's go over to let's move over to the one.
The one.
All right. So pretty interesting choice. This is a card actually I was familiar with myself and some other decks. I'm a big Knight, Kindred type decks. So your one was Armored Skyhunter, 3 and a white for a 3/3 flying cat knight. Whenever Armored Skyhunter attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put an aura or enchantment card from among them onto the battlefield. If an equipment is put on the battlefield this way, you may attach it to a creature you control. Put the rest of the cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, you know, makes sense for the deck. It's a cat. Flying is also nice, but it gets you stuff for your commander. So, I mean, why don't you? I mean, other than the obvious, like, I mean, why did you feel like this is that one card you never want to cut from this deck?
It's funny enough. Like, I mean, I think there's so many good cards in the deck for sure, and like really great equipments that we just talked about. A lot of them were fantastic, but this one is going to be like protected, not only because it is in fact a good card for this type of deck, but because it did save me and win me a game at a convention. So it's like, oh, okay, you know what? You're safe. I realized, because I have this problem with, hey, it's a good card, I put it in, but I don't really think about it. I'm like, I think about it, but I'm like hyper analyzing. And I'm not the kind of Magic creator that does the, I can't pick out the brand new combo from one card that they just spoiled today that teams up with a card from freaking Ice Age or some crap. I just don't think like that.
Yeah.
So it was at the end of the game. It was just myself and one other player. They, I don't remember what their commander was or whatever, but they basically had me dead to rights as soon as I passed turn. Like they had whatever it was going to get through and deal the finishing blow. I had one chance to swing, and they had blockers, and Kemba was big enough to kill, but she was on the ground. Yeah. And she didn't have unblockable. Like, I didn't get any of my unblockable equipments, nothing. So it's like, yeah, she's strong, but I can't get through. And I'm like, this is BS. I can't do. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I'm like, well, you know what? Screw it. I might as well go out swinging. So I swung her and swung on her, but Sky Hunter. And actually, the other person was nice enough to be like, well, you get your trigger. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I do. So I looked at the top, 6 cards, and I'm not sure if the card I got is still in the deck, the equipment. But the equipment I picked, oh, no, it is, because I think I got Trailblazer Boots. Oh. He was like, oh, here it is. And I played Trailblazer Boots. And he's like, oh, yeah, that'll do it because I just auto equip it. Now Kemba is unblockable, and I deal the final commander damage to you that you needed. And I was like, holy crap, I won, and he's like, yeah, nice move. And I was like, it's like, oh my gosh, this is a clutch card for like, getting you through at the last second because it's 6 cards. It's not like, oh, look at the top card of your library and if maybe. 6 cards is a really good chance of getting equipment, if nothing else, and hopefully a choice of a couple for whatever situation you are in when you are swinging.
Yeah, no, I think I think this did benefit from equipment and aura decks having a slight reputation of being kind of tough to deal with because if you lose your creature, it's like you're getting 2 for 1 a lot of times because of removal. So I think the digging 6 was a work to that advantage to dig deep, and I'm pretty sure there's some math there where 6 is one of those numbers where if you have you have about 31 artifacts and 9 enchantments in this deck. If we pull aside maybe mana rocks or whatever, you probably have enough stuff in there where you should hit something, right?
Right, exactly.
That's kind of one of those things. So, what I've realized, like my favorite part about the one a lot of times in these interviews has been it isn't necessarily like the strongest card in the world or like the most
right.
it's kind of this like, oh yeah, it won me this game one time because I hit a Trailblazer's boots off an attack trigger, so like I've never it's like a good luck charm. I can never take this out of the deck now. Like why would I do that?
Yeah, no.
I think it just kind of really highlights the true kind of power of the game isn't necessarily like, oh, like I build these super strong decks to do this. No, it's the kind of the nostalgia, the stories that we have or those feelings in that moment where like, oh yeah, my Armored Skyhunter came through for me in that clutch moment. Like that was freaking sweet, man. Like do that again, So
yeah, and to be fair, like you don't get to play all of your decks if you have a lot like I do. Like I have like 20 some. So it's I haven't played Kemba in quite a while, but since that, and that was like a year or so ago, at least a year and a half. I've only played her a few times, and I haven't gotten Armored Skyhunter out since then. So it's not like it's this power. It's not like a Soul Ring that's always showing up every game or something somehow. But it's just like it's not going to come out because I know the potential of it in a tight spot, or just even if you get it out early and you're just using it. I mean,
yeah,
flying is something that so many people ignore. I mean, yeah, it's only a 3/3, but I can still pipe you or ping you in the air for 3 and get this incredible benefit. Why not?
Yeah, Flyers win games. That's kind of what I've come away with a lot of times. He's like, Flyers really. If you want to win more games, just run more Flyers. He'll probably win up that win percentage a little more. So, well, Brian, thank you so much for sitting down and talking this sweet deck. I will have this posted on the Show and Tell signature guest list Moxfield. Not sponsored by Moxfield, but just a big fan of that website. Great place to
Me too.
Put on your deck list, find inspiration for new decks. Or just to kind of theory craft some stuff to put things together. So, Brian, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. And if you've been watching the show and you like what you see, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. Keep putting these episodes in the world, and we'll catch you all next time.
All right, thanks a lot for having me. Bye, everybody.